This is the one thing your gym should do to increase your sales rate.
Welcome to the PushPress Podcast,
where gym owners learn to dodge bad advice, crush their competition, and actually make money doing what they love. Let's get after it. Awesome. So this actually segues right into the next episode, which is we're titling Be a Story Collector. Be a Story Collector. And the reason this segues right into it is because the reviews and the topics that you're getting out of like Gym Happy type systems is the basis of getting story. And a huge, I don't even know if it's a theory at this point, but the way humans are wired is we are attracted to stories.
Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of psychological proof out there around as humans, like we've craved stories since the dawn of time. I mean, heck, they're on freaking caveman walls, for Christ's sake, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think especially from a marketing lens anymore in this day and age, like you see it, you follow characters, you don't follow brands, you follow story arcs, everything in our current media download is about stories. And so as a business, how can you market yourself, capture attention when there's all these compelling stories going on that are capturing, your attention if you're not doing the same thing, right? So in this episode, we really want to dive into all things storytelling and how are you actually transitioning from being just maybe the I don't want to say the paid ad, company or whatever, but like how are you transitioning to really capturing consumer attention through stories?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. This is modern day marketing, actually. So that's kind of like where this is headed. And when you really deconstruct your experience with social media, your own personal experience, like you said, you lean into the stories that are being told. You learn into proof that's happening in front of your own eyes, which, social proof. These are things that actually you're wired to not miss. It's just how we are as human beings. So I think, again, when you talk about architecting and engineering the outcomes you want, you've got to start to approach your gym business as, what stories do we have to tell in here?
Yeah, and I think there might be a little bit of a disconnect of gyms not knowing exactly how much of a gold mine they're sitting on when it comes to telling stories. Like, I know personally, I love the underdog. I love the stories of someone that persevered through struggle and came out the other side and was triumphant. Even the stories of like just the front runner, like the legend. Like, I'm not a Tom Brady fan, I'm a Patrick Mahomes fan, but I will watch stuff about Tom Brady. He's best quarterback to ever do it.
Do you know the funny thing about that is there's actually a negative story too, where like so many people watch the Lakers or Tom Brady or the Yankees or maybe the Dodgers now because they hate them. But they're tuning in and Trump
still watching.
Trump. You know what I mean? Like half of America loves him and is watching the shit out of him. Half of America hates him and is watching the shit out of him. But he knows to master the idea that you're watching me either way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so like if you just think about, okay, who are the people in my gym? It's like I've got an underdog. I've got someone that's persevering. I've got the person that just dominates fitness and life. You've got the characters.
You've got a mom. You've got a dad. You've got some teen. Like, yeah, all of the stories are there teed, right? And I think let's roll this right into the highlights here. So I think the first thing you have to do is start to understand these stories are in your gym, and you've got to train people, if not yourself, to spot them. Like, that's the biggest unlock, is first to just be aware that these stories are happening. And I think we all know, because like right now, if I asked any gym owner, it's like, who's the best story in your gym? You'll have it, but tell it, right? So you got to spot the moments that are happening as they're happening and start to record them.
Yep. And maybe the next evolution of that is your staff has to as well, because you can't be in all places all the time, right? So, the equivalent would be, Sally got her first muscle up and I wasn't there, but Dan was there. And then Dan needs to make sure that the entire staff knows, right?
And so like, again, this is like next level architecture. But when I did my first fundamentals class, we engineered it so the last day was a repeat of the first day, and the last day everyone did better and they all felt good about themselves, and the coaches pushed on it like, dude, you got 33% better. We even put on the whiteboard, like we did quick math, like 33% improvement, blah blah blah. Imagine if you had a coaches meeting once a week and you intentionally program your programming to know, like, these 18 members have never done a pull-up, but they're really close, and we might be able to get 4 this week. Imagine if, you're programming a retest and you pull up in the coaches meeting everyone's old scores and just say, like, you know who does better this time, and talk to them about it. Like, this all happens by happenstance right now, but this can be engineered so easily.
It can be. It can be. It just dawned on me that I think this is a hell of a reason to do reservations for classes so that a coach can prepare for,
Yes.
Tom coming into class that got this score on their last time. I need to make sure he can get to this time. Again,
that needs to be a whole nother episode.
Yeah. We'll
The,
go down the rabbit hole.
data, what you can do for knowing who's coming to class as soon as possible is huge.
Right.
Yeah.
But it allows you to continue the story.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You want to take this next one, Dan?
Yeah, topic number 2. So the concept of ritual is better than random. And so this has to do with culture. And so, again, if people are used to just popping into your gym, doing their workout and going home, and no stories are surfaced or celebrated, it might be really weird if all of a sudden you make a big deal about someone's thing that happened in the gym. But if they're indoctrinated into this concept from the get-go, like, hey, you're going to join my gym. Here's a media release. We tell stories here. Like, I expect you to have some transformational changes, and I would like to be able to share that with the world. Are you okay with that? Right? Most people will be, because that means you're aligned with their progress. Some people won't be. That's fine. But at least they'll know it's happening. So when you're celebrating someone else's win, they know that this is part of what you do. Right? So again, it's all about disconnecting the chance of randomness, like just some random story might happen in your gym, or it's something that you've processed and ritually made happen. Right.
I love that as a concept because otherwise it does feel forced, right? And it doesn't feel, it could feel out of place and it could make someone uncomfortable. Where my brain is going here, Dan, is like the whole story brand concept. Your business, you're not the hero. Your business isn't the hero.
Mm-hmm.
They're the hero. You're Robin or you're Alfred, right? And so if you build this in as the ritual, it really what you're saying is my goal here is to make you the hero and to be your Alfred on your journey, right? And we're going to publish these stories and I'm gonna ask some questions about it from time to time. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one other quick thing that we do at PushPress a ton is we leverage things like Slack for real-time information when things happen. So like in PushPress, we have a customer love channel, and anytime anyone writes in a message that says somebody went over the top, someone really helped me, I really appreciate this, this, and this because this is what you've done for my business. We have trained our team to share that with the rest of the team because it creates the snowball, right? Where you realize that like there's someone in another corner of the company that's doing some work for our customers. So that helps me understand that I need to get up and do my part of the job on this side of the company.
Yep. It's infectious.
Yep.
So this next one, publish fast or it didn't happen. And so, I think the big piece here that we want to unpack is that we need everyone to capture the moments as quickly as they can. And we need to share them out in a quick period of time, right? Because you're coming off of if you're Batman and you just saved the day, why would you wait a week to let the world know? Like the high comes down, all of a sudden the story doesn't have as much impact. So time does matter here.
Absolutely. Like I think it's easy to not understand the importance of this because again, if you're telling the story of your heroes, it loses every minute that ticks by, it loses relevance. Like if I got my first pull up and you celebrate it that night, I'm still on the high from it happening. But if you publish it 6 months from now, it actually might feel like, why are you even telling this story now? Like I do so much more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, oh, now you're thinking about me?
Yeah, exactly.
You needed marketing.
It can turn
what it was.
Exactly. It can turn a really, really good thing into something that feels icky.
Yep.
So it needs to be done timely.
And I do think there's kind of like this idea or maybe a mental block in some people, and I maybe have a tendency to have this too, of like the Nike commercial was an amazing story. I need to make sure I get the perfect photo, just like that Nike commercial. But the reality is like, just get it out there. It's better than sitting on it or trying to recapture a moment and manufacture it in a way so that it looks polished. Like people will connect to it, even if it's not the perfect angle in the perfect lighting, so on and so forth.
Here's actually, I have a slightly counterpoint to that.
Okay.
I used to be very big on the fact that in social media, the more raw it looked, the better it is. I think we're moving past that as a society.
Ooh.
I think like now when I see some things that are too raw, it's an instant skip versus like, okay, they have different camera angles and they put some thought in, they have good audio and lighting, blah, blah, blah. So I pause to think that like raw speed beats publish a little bit of polish, but we do live in a world where like for $7 a month, there's an app on your phone that you can like throw 18 clips of videos into and it will make it like dramatically lit, well audio, like it will do all of it for $7 a month. So I think like for me, there's this weird hurdle of like, man, $7 a month for an app. That's so dumb. And I've started buying these things because now I look at it like, well, it just saved me an hour to put together a video that I couldn't have done myself. So now I've got like 14 $7 a month subscriptions.
Yeah, of course you do. That's a pretty big statement from the man who's openly left typos in his emails for years, right? So I know that you're serious about that. I would tend to agree. If it looks too rough, it probably won't capture the eyeballs. However,
Doesn't need to be Nike.
If it's the only shot, it's like you're going to get up there on the rings and I'm going to get a video and then I stumble, but I got it. It's like, oh, do I want to publish that? It may not get the eyeballs from everyone else, but you as the person who accomplished it will be like,
that's true.
He published it.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
and even in saying that, it doesn't have to be high studio quality. Like Pat Chandler has been posting videos, reading reviews, and it's like he has a good decent mic on him. I think he probably has a lav or something, and it's not a total amateur shoot, but it's also not like studio lit and like super polished.
Right.
So, and that's good enough.
Yep. Yep. 100%.
Cool. Next topic I would say is like we need to leverage technology, right? And the reason for this is story building takes time. So this is why like your coaches being bought into this creates the leverage you need. And then you need to be able to like let technology help also, because ultimately you're looking to create stories at a speed and a level that you probably never done before. So you need to leverage everything you can to get those stories recorded and produced and published as possible.
Yeah, and I'll give a really good example just by me piggybacking off of what you talked about with Patrick Chandler at Kansas Athletic Club, which was we had Jim Haffey reviews that we came in and we wanted to experiment with whether or not putting a review on video would get more views and engagement than a screenshot of a review, posted from a brand account. And so when we say let the robots help or leverage technology, it really is like Jim Happy captured the review. That review went into, a custom GPT that just was super easy to build. You could just drop into Chat GPT and it's like, write a witty response to this. And we did that for 5 reviews, sat there with a phone in front of them and a little Rode lav mic. And then, I have my daughter edit the video and took no time at all. Gave them 5 pieces of content. I think that from beginning to finish, not counting Mila's time to edit the video, was all of 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So we're talking about ways that you can really scale if you just maybe open up the laptop and just focus on getting it done.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any stats on that yet?
The interesting thing here is when you compare the non-follower engagement to follower engagement.
Mm-hmm. Who's he posting this as? The Jim?
He's posting this as himself.
Okay.
And then on Instagram, he's inviting the Jim as a collaborator.
Okay, cool. Perfect.
And so we're seeing the difference between about 60% non-follower engagement on a normal post, and on these review posts, closer to 90% non-follower engagement.
Oh, wow.
So as it appears right now, and again, we're about a week or so into the experiment, it's a significant uptick in reading a review video, not only in volume of engagement, but specifically non-follower engagement.
And the thing I actually want to double click on here that's probably the most meta thing to think about is you guys just decided to take a test. Like we'll just record 5 and just compare that to the numbers that we already know, because he publishes fairly frequently.
Yeah, they've made 30 posts in the last, since March 1.
Yeah. And here's another thing too, like I'll say anecdotally, and this is somewhat on topic and somewhat off topic, because I follow their gym. Their gym makes a lot of posts that are like, they take memes, they do witty stuff, they like make fun of their coaches, they do serious ones. They have a whole mix of the content. I don't know if it's strategized or not, or just random.
It is.
Okay. And so mixing in a review feels very natural and organic and right. Whereas if all they did was reviews, it would feel weird. You know what I mean? So it's just like they're peppering it into the meme stitch and, this is what we're doing this week. Like all of it as a whole really works well together.
Yeah. Yeah. We've, maybe we'll dive into that in a future marketing episode.
Okay, cool. Last topic for this episode, proof sells. So this is another big miss. It's like you have all these stories in your gym that you're failing to collect. And if you did collect them, I do see some gyms collect them. Like, I don't even know this. KSAC does this. KSAC, I know, is collecting stories and reviews and testimonials. When I bring you in to have a sales conversation and we're talking about what I can do for you, I should have a wall or a book full of these stories that I'm like, oh, you want to be able to run a marathon? Hold up. Turn to page 32. That's John. John came in 32 pounds overweight, wanted to run a marathon. In 9 months, we got him to run a 2-hour and 42-minute marathon. How does that sound?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like the stories sell your product.
Oh, man. We could go on this one for a bit. I think stories can sometimes, that word can come across as being pretty vague. And where the thought trail you just put me down is like, if I'm sitting in a room and I see a story of someone going from, losing 50 pounds, like that is a story. In the CrossFit space, which we know so well, there's also stories of like, couldn't do a movement, couldn't do a box jump, now they can, couldn't squat over so much weight, now they can. Patrick Chandler and I, talking around the same length of like, we have custom benchmarks at Kansas Athletic Club. What are the stories of the people who did it scaled and then finally did it RX'd? Put those on the wall. Who had the biggest physical accomplishments from a weight standpoint, from like a performance standpoint? Tell those stories on the wall. Tell the weight loss stories on the wall. Tell the medication, getting off blood pressure medication stories as well. So there's the different angles of all of them.
Yep.
Because when you're in that sales room, you do want to be able to connect that person's objective to some story somewhere.
I mean, they have to see that it's happened.
Right. So don't just think of it as, I need to lose 10 pounds. I need to do the 10-pound loss stories only.
Oh, no. And here's the thing. Once you start talking to your customers about their story, you're going to get 100 different stories you didn't assume. Like, you assume everyone's value in your gym is the fitness you're selling or losing weight or getting stronger. But someone's going to tell you like, oh, my parents just passed away from this heart condition that I realized through 23andMe that I have. And now I'm just worried about that. Like, there's going to be some story that's so deep, you can't even surmise it.
There was a gentleman at 913, and he left to move out to LA and go work for SpaceX. And when I did an exit interview with him, he was a great member. His name's Sean Herwald, amazing guy. The story that he told me that we empowered him to do was, he was always kind of shy and reserved, and finding fitness is what gave him the confidence to apply, move across the country for his dream job.
See, like,
and I was like, I was amazed that we had done that.
Yeah.
But I had not intentionally pulled that out prior to that,
That this should be like a whole tactic and another show on like how to ask the right questions to pull these out. Put that in the book. But let me give you one more sales tactic. And I'm not a salesperson, and so for me to give this one, I don't know, it feels semi sleazy, but also it's like this is how you should be looking at sales, right? So if you're in my sales room and I'm selling, if I, going back to last episode, if I was starting a new gym, I would have this book built, and hopefully it's like, you're a trainer before, you can still build this. Like, oh, here's another thing. These stories are evergreen and they're yours. Meaning like, you shut this gym down and you go do private training, you go work for Gold's Gym. I don't care. Whatever else you do with your fitness life, like those stories are still real and they're still valid. Anyways, I would have my book. I would have a reason to leave, right? Like, hey, you know what? Let me go print this thing for you, or let me go ask somebody this question. I'll be back in 2 minutes, and leave you with the stories.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you, like, if you had a camera on them, they will start looking, right? And they will find the stories on their own. If it's on the wall, they're going to get up and start reading them. If it's in a book, they're going to start flipping through it. And you're giving them the space and time to find the story that attracts to them most, right?
Yep.
And I mean, the next level of this will be like, understand which story they read and lean into that. But it doesn't matter. Like, you just give them the space and time to read the stories, because in the book in front of you, they're not going to be focused on it, but you got to give them the time.
Yep. Yep. And maybe to double click on that, the reason why consuming the stories works, it all goes back to, I believe that this is the place that can do what I need done in order to accomplish what I want to accomplish.
Yeah.
It is the social proof. It is the trust. It is the entire buy-in. And if you can't tell that story, you have no concept of social proof, so no one will buy from you.
It'll be much harder.
But
the bottom line is this. Yeah. Like, if you're sitting in a gym and you're thinking about joining, either a salesperson's telling you that they can do it for you, or you're reading the stories that showed that someone else got what you wanted done. Which one makes it so much easier to buy into what's happening here?
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay, let's wrap this.
I guess what I would want to know from any of our audience would be, if you're a gym and you have absolutely changed someone's life and documented it, I would love to see the links, the story arc, the Facebook video.
Tell us your fucking best story.
I want to absolutely see the cream of the crop here.
Yeah, because you know what? Let me tell you one last thing before we really sign off for real, is the stories that get published in our customer love channel attached to my why so deeply. Every time I see that Slack channel light up, I'm in there. I'm like, let me read this. Let me see what happened. And so you're going to find this. Like, when you share your story with us, it's going to resonate with us so much, because this is our why too. The magic of that feeling is something you actually want to unlock amongst your team as well.
100%. We want to hear your story. Podcast@pushpress.com.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the PushPress Podcast, where we help gym owners, entrepreneurs, and fitness enthusiasts thrive with actionable insights, inspiring stories, and strategies for growth.
Don't forget to follow the show to stay updated on new episodes. And if you're ready for more, join our free Facebook community for gym owners. Check the show notes for the link, and we'll see you next time. Keep raising the bar for your business and community.